Hello, St. Luke's and friends of St. Luke's. Liz Beal Kid here, and I'm going to just tell you a little bit about what we will be doing today. Number one, we're going to hear it from Ethan, this great song called Lord of the Dance. It's one of my favorites. And we're going to get our blood pumping and moving all around. And number two, we're going to read the best Father's Day story ever, because today is Father's Day. And it's going to be Horton Hears a Who by the great Dr. Seuss. And then for number three, we're going to sing a great Father's Day song called Abba Father. And Ethan's going to do that again. And then number four, we're going to say goodbye. Okay? So I look forward to a good Children's Chapel today. Welcome! Thanks.
All right, everybody. Time for our first song of the day. This one is called Lord of the Dance. It's an old Irish tune, and I really like it. Now, the way it goes is it's going to say, dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. And when that part is happening, that's our chorus. And when that part is happening, I want you to try and find someone in your house. If not, you can just dance by yourself. But if you can find someone, that's great. And you'll link their arms and you'll say, dance, dance, wherever you may be. Like an old sea shanty. Now, we're going to have a lot of fun with this song, and there's some other parts to it too. Now, there's one part specifically where it says, I danced on a Friday when the sky turned black. And when that verse happens, we're going to sing it really slow. But we're going to speed right back up again. In between each chorus and verse, you'll hear me playing guitar like do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And during that part, I want you to clap as fast as you can. So da-da-da-da-da-da-da, like that the whole time, okay? Now, we have one other thing with this song. The second part of the last chorus, we're going to play very, very fast. So be ready for that, and make sure you have your speedy voices going. Make sure that you're able to talk really, really fast. Like that. Okay, great. Now, I'll see you at the song. I danced in the morning when the world was begun. I danced in the moon and the stars and the sun. I came down from heaven and I danced on the earth. At Bethlehem I had my birth. So dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. And I'll lead you all wherever you may be. And I'll lead you all in the dance, said he. I danced for the scribes and the Pharisees. They would not dance and they would not follow me. I danced for the fishermen, for James and John. And they missed me and the dance went on. So dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. And I'll lead you all wherever you may be. And I'll lead you all in the dance, said he. I danced on the Sabbath and I cured the lame. The holy people said it was a shame. They whipped and they stripped and they hung me high and left me there on the cross to die. So dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. And I'll lead you all wherever you may be. And I'll lead you all in the dance, said he. I danced on a Friday when the sky turned black. It's hard to dance with the world on your back. They buried my body and they thought I'd gone. But, however, on the contrary, I am the dance and I still go on. So dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. I'll lead you all wherever you may be. And I'll lead you all in the dance, said he. They cut me down and I left up high. I am the life that will never ever die. I'll live in you if you live in me. 'Cause I am the Lord of the dance, said he. So dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. I'll lead you all wherever you may be. And I'll lead you all in the dance, said he. So dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. And I'll lead you faster. Dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he, and I'll lead you all. Wherever you may be, and I'll lead you all in the dance, said he. Great job, everybody. Thank you very much.
Isn't Ethan's pirate outfit fun? I love it. It's like his uniform from last week. So anyway, we are going to read my favorite Father's Day story, which is Horton Hatches the Egg. And it's from Dr. Seuss. And it's a really good story. And he also does the pictures. And so that's always a plus. So let us read. Sighed Maisie, a lazy bird hatching an egg. I'm tired and I'm bored and I've kinks in my leg from just sitting here day after day. It's work, how I hate it. I'd much rather play. I take a vacation, fly off for a rest. If I could find someone to stay on my nest. If I could find someone, I'd fly away free. Then Horton the elephant passed by her tree. Hello, called the lazy bird, smiling her best. You've nothing to do, and I do need a rest. Would you like to sit on the egg in my nest? The elephant laughed. Why, of all silly things, I haven't feathers and I haven't wings. Me on your egg? Why, that doesn't make sense. Your egg is so small, ma'am, and I'm so immense. Tut, tut, answered Maisie. I know you're not small, but I'm sure you can do it, no trouble at all. Just sit on it softly, you're gentle and kind. Come, be a good fellow, I know you won't mind. I can't, said the elephant. Please, begged the bird. I won't be gone for long, sir. I give you my word. I'll hurry right back. Why, I'll never be missed. Very well, said the elephant, since you insist. You want a vacation, go fly off and take it. I'll sit on your egg and I'll try not to break it. I'll stay and be faithful. I mean what I say. Toodaloo, sung out Maisie and fluttered away. There goes that crazy Maisie. The first thing to do, muttered Horton. Let's see. The first thing to do is to prop up this tree and make it much stronger. This has to be done. Before I get on it, I must weigh a ton. Then carefully, tenderly, gently he crept up the trunk to the nest where the little egg slept. Yeah. Then Horton the elephant smiled. Now that's that. And he sat, and he sat, and he sat, and he sat. There he is. Uh-oh. And he sat all that day, and he kept the egg warm, and he sat all that night through a terrible storm. It poured and it lightened, it thundered, it rumbled. This isn't much fun, the poor elephant grumbled. I wish she'd come back 'cause I'm cold and I'm wet. I hope that Maisie bird doesn't forget. But Maisie, by this time, was far beyond reach, enjoying the sunshine way off in Palm Beach, and having such fun, such a wonderful rest, decided she'd never go back to her nest. no, that lazy Maisie. So Horton kept sitting there day after day, and soon it was autumn. The leaves blew away, and then came the winter, the snow and the sleet, and icicles hung from his trunk and his feet. But Horton kept sitting and said with a sneeze, I stay on this egg and I won't let it freeze. I mean what I said and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. So poor Horton sat there the whole winter through, and then came the springtime with troubles anew. His friends gathered round and they shouted with glee, Look, Horton the elephant's up a tree. They taunted, they teased him, they yelled, How absurd! Old Horton the elephant thinks he's a bird. Oh, those are not very good friends, are they? I really think that he could do better with nicer friends. They laughed and they laughed, and they all ran away, and Horton was lonely. He wanted to play, but he sat on the egg and continued to say, I mean what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. Look at all that. Uh-oh, some hunters. No matter what happens, this egg must be tended. But poor Horton's troubles were far, far from ended. For while Horton sat there, so faithful, so kind, the hunters came sneaking up softly behind. He heard the men's footsteps. He turned with a start. 3 rifles were aiming right straight at his heart. Uh-oh. Did he run? He did not. Horton stayed on that nest. He held his head high. He threw out his chest. He looked at the hunters as much as to say, shoot if you must, but I won't run away. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. Look how brave he is. But the men didn't shoot. Much to Horton's surprise, they dropped their 3 guns and stared with wide eyes. Look, they all shouted, can such a thing be? An elephant sitting up in a tree? It's strange, it's amazing, it's wonderfully new. Don't shoot him, we'll catch him. That's just what we'll do. Let's take him alive. Why, he's terribly funny. We'll sell him back home to a circus for money. Oh, no. Oh, here we go. Look at that cage they've made. And the tree and the little egg. And the first thing he knew, they had built a big wagon with ropes on the front for the pullers to drag on. They dug up his tree and they put it inside. With Horton so sad, he practically cried. We're off, the men shouted, and off they all went, with Horton unhappy 100%. Look, these men, at least they have to carry a big elephant. That makes me feel a little better. Up out of the jungle, up into the sky, up over the mountains, 10,000 feet high, then down, down the mountains, and down to the sea, where the cart with the elephant egg nest and tree. Wow, that is quite a journey. Then out of a wagon and onto a ship and over the ocean, and oh, what a trip. Rolling and tossing and splashed with spray. And Horton said, day after day after day, I meant what I said what I meant, but oh, I am so seasick, 100%. Oh, poor little Horton. I don't think elephants are supposed to be on ships. Oh, look at that. He's being hoisted. And look, I wonder what these men are saying. Let's see. After bobbing around for 2 weeks like a cork, they landed at last in the town of New York. All ashore, the men shouted, and down with a lurch went Horton the elephant, still on his perch. Tied onto a board that just scarcely could hold him. Bump! Horton landed. And then the men sold him. That's what they're doing with that money. Sold to a circus. Then, week after week, they showed him to people at 10 cents a peek. They took him to Boston, to Kalamazoo, Chicago, Weehawken, and Washington too. To Dayton, Ohio, St. Paul, Minnesota, to Wichita, Kansas, to Drake, North Dakota. And everywhere, thousands of folks flocked to see and laugh at the elephant up in a tree. Poor Horton grew sadder the further he went, but he said as he sat in the hot, noisy tent, I meant what I said what I meant, and elephants faithful 100%. Seems like they do make the best babysitters. Then, one day the circus show happened to reach a town way down south, not far from Palm Beach. And dawdling along, way up high in the sky, who of all people should chance to fly by but that old good-for-nothing bird, Runaway Maisie, still on vacation and still just as lazy. And spying the flags in the tents just below, she sang out, "What fun! Why, I'll go to the show." Look at that show. Here's that Maisie. And she swooped from the clouds through an open tent door. "Good gracious!" gasped Maisie. "I've seen you before." Poor Horton looked up with his face white as chalk. He started to speak, but before he could talk, goodness. There rang out the noisiest, ear-splitting squeaks from the egg that he'd sat on for 51 weeks. Goodness. thumping, a bumping, a wild, alive scratching. "My egg!" shouted Horton. "My egg! Why, it's hatching." Look at that. "But it's mine!" screamed the bird when she heard the egg crack. The work was all done, so now she wanted it back. "It's my egg," she sputtered. "You stole it from me. Get off my nest and get out of my tree." Poor Horton backed down with a sad, heavy heart. But that very instant, the egg burst apart. And out of the pieces of red and white shell from the egg he'd sat on so long and so well, Horton the elephant saw something whiz. It had ears, a tail, and a trunk just like his. Whoa. All the people came shouting, "What's all this about?" They looked and they stared with their eyes popping out. And then they cheered and they cheered and they cheered more and more. They'd never seen anything like it before. "My goodness, my gracious," they shouted, "my word. It's something brand new. It's an elephant bird. And it should be like that." Because Horton was faithful. And he sat and he sat. He meant what he said. And he said what he meant. And they sent him home happy. 100%. Now, what I would love is the last page that said his friends said, "We're so sorry we didn't help you in this endeavor." That would be a really good end to that book. But let's talk a little bit about this. Wow, there's a lot going on in this story. First of all, we have Maisie Bird, who wants to kind of shirk her duties, and she wants to, and I guess that's not really her fault. I think some birds may not understand all of the work that is that is required to be a mama bird. I don't know, but she finds Horton, and he is very nice and says that he will do the sitting for her. But she says she's only going to be gone a minute, but then she's not gone a minute, is she? She is gone for 51 weeks, it seems like. That is more than a minute. So Horton has made this promise, and he makes sure that he does the promise. And he really does it, even though it's much harder than what he thought it was going to be. He just thought he was going to just do some light babysitting. He didn't know that it was going to be through rain and sleet and snow, and then he was going to get so cold, and he wasn't going to have very many friends to help him, sadly. And he had no idea that there would be 3 hunters that were going to come, and he still didn't leave that egg. Isn't that amazing? I know a lot of moms and dads that would do the same thing for you guys. And today's Father's Day. So I think about all of the things that our dads, and if you don't have a dad at home, you might have a granddad, or you might have a mom, or you might have a grandmom. And I think that this is a story about the things that people do to make sure that we're loved and that we're valued. And Ethan is going to sing a song in a little bit, and it's called Abba. And it is a song about how God is our dad. So even if you don't have a dad that's in the flesh and blood, we think of God our Father as our loving dad. That's the image we like to say. So our loving God has us and is holding us and hugging us through all sorts of storms and all sorts of hunters and also and people laughing at you, like how the circus did. I hope that those people learned a very valuable lesson, that really, if you see somebody struggling, you should probably ask how you can help rather than laugh at them. Unless they're in on the joke. If they're laughing too, then it might be okay. But I think that when we think of those hard times that Horton went through, we can think that God was with Horton that whole time. And now that Horton has a baby elephant bird to raise, I imagine that elephant bird probably needs a great deal of worms and a great deal of care. And I'm not sure, but I feel like an elephant bird could get up to a lot of mischief. So I think that if Horton decided to say some prayers and call on God whenever Horton was worried. Sometimes parents worry that we're not going to make the best decisions. Sometimes we worry that we're not going to be the best parents, right? We have worries too. It's a funny thing. So I think if Horton knows that he can call on his Father, meaning God, to have a prayer, then that would be good. So we've talked about we've kind of covered a lot of things today. How hard it is sometimes to do what you say and say what you mean and follow through with your promises, especially if they might be a little bit bigger than what you anticipated. Also, we've said that it's nice to have a parent and a family that is good at watching over us. We've said that sometimes that's hard. And that we can always fall back on prayer and asking God for help because God is our Father. So I'm going to let Ethan do a little Abba Father. And this is our Father's Day Abba Father song. And we can then say goodbye and say a little prayer. So I'll see you in a minute. All right.
So this week to close out, I think we'll do another song. Like I said earlier, this song is called Abba Father, and it's a little bit more mellow, but still sing loud and proud. There's not really motions that go along with this one, but just try and sing and really focus on these words, okay? All right, so let's get started.
Okay, thank you, Ethan. I really love Abba. Such a good song, and Ethan does it so well. So if you want to, maybe you can learn it and you could sing it to your dad. Wouldn't that be cool? So happy Father's Day, everybody. And let's just end with a little prayer. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this time with our friends from St. Luke's and from all over, all of our friends. Thank you for today. Thank you for our fathers. Thank you for our families. And thank you for this great and beautiful day that we have to share it with. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.